Hey Matthias, do you like any tips for sort of practicing writing or making scripts for videos? I mean, obviously, just do it every day, but is there anything else to consider? I kind of want to get into writing, because although I've been into art and drawing for a while, I'm thinking I should consider becoming a better writer, because I've recently been interested in making like a video essay or making a comic or something similar. It's hard to say, like, I think there is a lot of good writing advice out there, but I don't think there's ever been any kind of writing advice that has been better than just me trying to, like, understand things that I like and understand what makes them good, and when I dislike something, trying to understand why I dislike it. And that's something that I kind of aim for when I write. I'm just like, I'm been looking at things that I like myself, and I've been trying to understand why I dislike certain things. But that's just a general thing. I think more specifically, I would say, like, when you write, you should have, like, a specific kind of message in mind of, like, what you're trying to communicate. I think the biggest problem with writing, in general, is, like, having too many ideas. Like, I want to make a video and a story, and it's gonna be this, and it's gonna have this, and it's gonna have that, and we're gonna talk about this, and then this happens, and that happens, and it also has to have this in it. And from my experience, when that happens, it's kind of like you're never gonna finish the video, because it's just gonna be too many things. And it's not, if you do finish it, it's gonna be really confusing about, like, what the fuck kind of story is this even? Like, you watched 100 different anime, and you tried to conclude everything that you liked about it in there. Like, just try to keep one idea in mind of, like, this is what I want the story to communicate by the end of it. This is the message that I want people to understand by the end of it. And as long as you, sorry, my cat is scratching on my door. Like crazy right now, distracting me. I think it's very good to try to keep that in mind of, like, is what you're adding to the story, like, bringing you closer to the message you're trying to communicate, or is it a distraction from it? Because I think it's way too easy to sort of, like, get distracted and have something that completely detaches from what you're trying to say. But it definitely, of course, that depends on what kind of artist you want to be and all that. It's all extremely subjective, right? But if I had to give any advice, it would be that, because it's way too easy to just be like, I don't even know what I want to say anymore, and I want to say everything. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's very specific advice, but also general advice. I think in general, like, YouTube has too many, this is my little criticism of YouTubers, they have a lot of videos on YouTube that don't really express anything. And that's fine, but I feel like it's not generally the kind of content that appeals to me a lot of the time. When someone's just like, here's some random junk that I did, here's like an improv comedy, blah blah blah. I kind of vibe more when, like, there is an idea behind the story or the message. So that's sort of what I aim for. But there's a thing for everything to be right and wrong. You know what I mean? I on my second channel, I don't really aim for that. But that's also the intent there. It's just random junk. It's random gibberish about Mario. And I like that too. Everything has a time and place. Like, there's good advice and there's bad advice. And the bad advice is just like what does not appeal to you, and the good advice is what appeals to you. Yeah, try to keep it simple, I would say. It's way too easy to become over-encumbered, trying to do too many things at one time. If there's any other advice I can give for, like, writing, it would maybe be, like, when you write dialogue. And when you write dialogue, you should consider it to be, like, one of three things. Dialogue, or, like, writing anything for the story should be, like, either it's something that moves the story forward, or it should be something that reveals something about a character, or it should be something that's funny. Or at least, you know, that's my mindset behind, like, writing anything. I feel like every line that you write in a story, every single thing... I completely lost. Everything that you write in a story, any single thing that you write in a video essay or comic, it's an opportunity for someone to give up on reading what you have written. Like, you should consider it from that perspective genuinely of, like, every single page, every single, like, line is an opportunity for someone to give up on paying attention. Like, I try to bear that in mind of, like, it's good to keep the attention going and make sure, like, people are invested. And the best way to do that is, like, making sure, like, here is something that, like, moves things forward. It's just the best way to do it. So will this actually move the story forward? Can't even afford it. Why did I do that? Does it reveal anything about a character, or is it funny? Why did I do that? Can't afford anything. I got too invested in writing advice, so I messed up the whole game. I think that's it. I think that's all the advice I have to give. I think it's very easy to, like, get confused about, like, what to write, but I think it all comes down to, like, having one single idea that you come back to. Like, I think that's always been the case when, like, I don't know what to write, or when I don't know how to continue a story. It's just like, is this even, like, focusing on the core idea anymore? So I feel like that's always just my main advice, because that's... It's not really an ongoing problem for me, because I feel like I now have that in check, but it definitely used to be a problem I had at the beginning. I feel like I've barely explored this map. I'm just back at the beginning again. But yes, I definitely agree. Like, it's not really a bad thing to watch things that are bad. Like, you should watch things that are bad so you can know why you dislike it, and you should analyze it for why it's bad. This is like a weird thing that I did as a kid, right? Where, for some reason, I was really obsessed with the movie Scary Movie 2 as a kid. Where I kept watching it over and over again. At the beginning, it was because it was like, haha, Scary Movie 2 is so funny. And then I kept watching it over and over again, and I was like, this is kind of bad. This is kind of a bad movie. And part of it probably was, you know, I was getting sick of it. Of course it's going to be bad if you keep watching it over and over again. But then it was kind of like, I became obsessed with rewatching it, so I was kind of like trying to break down in my head of like, why is this movie so bad? A lot of beginner artists, they think that any advice is good advice. And it can take a very long time to learn that, like, not all advice is good, or it might not even be applicable to you. Like, a lot of advice is really, really bad, or it might not even suit you. And you should still listen to a lot of advice, but just like just like you should watch bad movies to learn about, like, what makes something bad, you should listen to a lot of advice so you can sort of, like, discern for yourself, like, what is actually applicable to you? What do you actually want to make? I really dislike advice that always says, always do... Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's a sign of bad advice, right? When someone's, like, trying to do that. And it kind of reeks of, like, someone who's, like... Usually that's, like, the kind of thing where people are, like, obsessed with, like, algorithm kind of stuff, I feel like. It's good to remember that, like, a lot of advice or stuff that's, like, always do this, always do that. A lot of advice on YouTube and stuff like that, it's not actually trying to give you advice. A lot of advice is intentionally made to sound like the thing that you want to hear, so you will agree with it, so you will watch the video, so he can make money of it. Like, a lot of advice is not made to be advice. A lot of advice nowadays is made to be monetized. So, like, here's the thing you want to hear. Oh my god, Wario agrees with me. He's, like, pointing right at me right now. A lot of the things that people want to hear is very, like... they just want to hear that. So now you might just hear, like, don't do anything, man. You can just sit at home. Because maybe people are not making videos like that. But I think that's a... Maybe you could apply that to, like, stoicism advice, kind of like... It's very marketable to be a stoic, because it's kind of like stuff you want to hear. It kind of feels good to hear it. But usually it's not stuff that people actually do. Or they do it to, like, a minimal degree, where they're like, yeah, sometimes I do take cold showers. I'm just like Emperor Augustus.